Hi, this is IBM Museum. At the opening of my YouTube channel that I'm setting up now, I want to demonstrate as a first video for the issue that I'm having when I go through to power up my IBM PS2 Model 30. This unit is based on the Intel 8086 CPU, so it has what is called MCGA video that's on the system planar, and that was a lower standard than the VGA that IBM had with other models like the microchannel when the systems were released in 1987. This was the only ISA unit that was in that lineup. And as you heard behind my talking, we experienced a double beep, but there's no video that came up on the screen at all in this instance. I'm going to go through and I'm going to press F1. We get one other beep. It does a brief diskette seek. There's no diskette in the drive, and I do have the hard drive disconnected in this instance as well, just to kind of minimize the components that I have set up in diagnosing this. I'm going to press the F1 key again. It does another diskette seek, and then gets into a condition where that light has gone out now. I'm going to do a warm reset, which is just the control delete key sequence on the keyboard. Okay, we go through and we got the dual beep again, but this time we got video actually on the screen. And I can see that this is the later Model 30 BIOS by the square clock animation that's over on the right hand side. It's telling us to start set the date and time, and to continue to press the F1 key. So I'm going to press the F1 key just like I did before. Here's the second animation screen where it's showing to load the star diskette and to press the F1 key. Since there's no local media and the hard drive is disconnected in this case, no boot diskette, it drops us into ROM Basic in this case, and which is the default mode of these machines when they don't have any other boot media or anything otherwise. That just as a basic way to go through and perhaps being able to run certain programs or work with the system enough in this case as a diagnostic. Now, as I say, these Model 30s, they came out there initially the ISA model in the PS2 release in 1987, and a very similar model came out later on called the Model 25. And it has everything that the Model 30 does. It's also an ISA system. It had an integrated screen, in this case, a built-in display, but it didn't have the real-time clock on the system planar. And that the Model 25 and the Model 30 are unique at that level to where they don't have switches to be set on the motherboard like the IBM XT had for its configuration. They don't have a CMOS RAM like the later IBM AT had that was released in 1984, 1985, in those years. These units came out in 1987. The Model 25 was released in something like, I think, 1988 or so. But this issue, when I powered on, I didn't get any video. I just got that dual beep. It quickly reminded me that I have a friend, Brandon, that had experience with this Model 25. The same sort of issue recently happening to him as well. And he's used his Model 25 for just absolute years. His father owned it before him. He got it when they were released initially, and he's used that system extensively. We've gone through sometimes and added in particular components like an extra or additional VGA card to get the VGA display and things like that, various modifications that we've done. But we haven't heard of any problems like this, or over these decades, and having experienced this before, that this appears to be a modern issue, that the components on the planer might just be wearing out. There might be just a power load. They didn't have very high wattage power supplies. In this case, on the Model 30, it's just a 90-watt power supply. So it also reminded me of another area that 2 weeks ago, there's a YouTube channel. The guy goes under the moniker of 8-Bit Guy, and he lives in Dallas. He drove an hour over to a surplus location where they had some units that were new in box, and it was the 7496 and called the Executive Workstation that he wanted to try out. I mean, he went through, and these units the boxes hadn't been opened up in 30 years. They were just there. Who knows what the origins were. It's not a heavily known system at all, on even searching through the internet now to find where someone has had one of these units and documented what it is about. So the 8-Bit Guy, he took a unit home. I mean, it was just loaned to him. He didn't compensate them for any of the, buying it off of them or anything like that. But he unboxed it. You can see that it's got a display that was fastened to the top of the assembly. And so it was, in fact, another one of the all-in-one units. And that looks like it preceded the Model 25. So it actually may have been a prototype for that unit at some point. And when he opened it up, because he couldn't get it to, it would just give the dual beeps, no display at all. When he opened it up, you could see inside was the Model 30 components, the planer, the riser, the floppy drive. They were just straight off of the Model 30. So it very well looks like IBM put those components in a system, an all-in-one system that could have been that Model 25 prototype for later on. And then at some later point, they just redesigned it, made it a little bit more compact, the screen a little bit more integrated instead of the assembly on top, a separate monitor that was just fastened to the top of the unit. But it was intriguing in just seeing those components. Now, when he opened up the case, you could see it was the older Model 30 planer that is called it's identified as the P planer here. And on my unit, I actually have what's called the Greenock planer, and that's just based on that it was produced in Greenock, Scotland, and they changed around some of the components, but these units have a later BIOS and other nice features for running the 30 megabyte hard drive of the unit. The earlier Model 30 units with their BIOS, they're only able to run the 20 megabyte hard drives, if they even had one at all. There were dual diskette models as well. So it, I was able to identify the Model 30 components that were inside there when he opened it up, and experiencing the same issue that he seemingly experienced on his video when he was just getting the double beep, and the system was not continuing in any way. He didn't know to go through and press the F1 key to get further. He did take the unit back to the surplus place. They tried other units that were also new in box. They were able to get one unit out that had a skewed video, so there's other things going wrong with the MCGA controller. But they at least did get video out of one unit, but he was not able to gain further, mainly because he tried booting with a 1.44 megabyte diskette when those diskette drives, in this case, are 720 KB, and so it's the wrong diskette type for booting the machine. So he didn't get any further with that, and the video was a bust. I mean, he didn't go through, he didn't fix it. He badly ruined one of the machines in this case, and the video didn't have any solution other than really just showing people what it looked like inside. these are almost one-of-a-kind units. I mean, there was just 5 of them in this surplus computer location, and with practically no one hearing or knowing about them otherwise. So as I go through, I'm gonna try and pin down. Me and Brian are gonna try and pin down a little bit more of what this issue is that's causing this behavior of the no video on that first cold boot of powering on the system, and having to go through and let the system go through the sequence, the proper key presses, to do what it considers a fully boot sequence before you do the warm reset, and it's able to start again and show the video on the screen. Now, it's probably strongly related to the power in this case, as I said before. There's not really anything to the time or date sensitive nature of this, especially with the Model 25 not having that real-time clock. The unit's powered on, it doesn't even know what year it is. It's likely just these components that are wearing out. They're drawing a little bit more power, the capacitors are wearing out, and things like that. And so we'll go through and diagnose this issue a little bit further and see if we can come up with a solution to it. But for my initial video and starting up a YouTube channel as IBM Museum, I want to welcome any subscribers that may join, and we're going to have videos like this and a lot of other content concerning the IBM machines at every level later on. Besides the Model 25 and 30s that were the ISA level, and even later ISA models, we're going to go through in some of the microchannel models and show those, show ways to modify them for better performance, and you know, even there's projects to go through and add components to these, or to make them work in instances where the floppy drives are failing over these years, the proprietary hard drives are failing over these years, but the solutions are coming out, the new things out there that are making these systems still functional and working machines that the people such as myself can enjoy the use of these systems for many more years to come. Thank you for watching this video, and this is IBM Museum. We will see you soon.